All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Defying All Odds Podcast with your host, Jesse, and my co-host.
Your boy, Rafa, you already know.
And today we've got a special guest coming to you live from Columbia University. We have a senior at the engineering school here at Columbia named Allen Areola. Please welcome. How's it going, Allen?
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
It was time
Yes,
already.
absolutely.
But I've known Jesse for 4 years, basically.
All throughout college.
And yeah, he told me about this idea since last semester, so wanted to be here. So thank you guys for having me and
thank you
having
for
all the
coming on.
setup.
Real quick, I just want to start off the bat, bro. This jersey you got here, it's probably the best jersey that you could have worn. So let's just start out with that. If it was any other jersey you put around Madrid, then we would have had to kick it.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing you on our side, all right?
Yeah, I always wear the shirts on game day, basically.
Oh, yeah,
so
the Plains
either,
there,
they already won
Good.
today.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
it's a good day.
We're on
it's a
top
good
of
start.
I know they're on top of the table, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 points.
Exactly.
3 points. But yeah, I always wear it like either middle of the week or weekends.
As we should.
Yeah.
There you go. So, well, Allen, pleasure to have you on. I know you're a big soccer fan, but let's go a little bit about kind of like your upbringing. So, obviously you're born here and you moved back here to U.S. to go to high school, right? In Cali. So, what was that life like growing up? And then obviously now coming to Columbia, specifically the engineering school, because obviously you guys have a bigger course load than we do in CC.
So I was basically I grew up in Mexico, going to school all the way to the 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to a school in a border town called Calexico. It's basically a combination of both California and Mexico. That's where the name comes from.
Interesting.
And it's a really, really small like border town, around 15,000, 30,000 people,
Wow, so
like
very
really small.
Yeah.
And we had one school basically, and that's where I basically attended for high school. But I never imagined I would be in New York like 4 years later, in one of the biggest and most important cities of the United States.
Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy. I mean, going from, living in Mexico all the way on the west side to be more civic and then getting yourself all across the U.S. pretty crazy. I want to ask you, like, tell me a little bit more, because I don't know a lot about Mexico, but, like, what was it like living in what's you say, Mexicali, right?
Yeah.
That's your property. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like living in that neighborhood, in that area, just in general?
I think a lot of people have different perspectives of Mexico, but like Mexicali is a big city. We have 1.2 or 1.3 million people.
Wow.
Okay.
So it's a big city with different industries and basically almost every job available. Like we have engineering, we have doctors, we have everything there. So it's not too different from like a city here, but like Calexico was really small. Basically, there is no economy there because it's really small and they just depend on like the people that go from Mexico to buy and like do business there.
Okay. So you
So-
say it's more like touristy than anything else, or no?
Well, less touristy, more of like people just go in and out because they have family on both sides.
So like
So
economic based, like
yeah.
market based.
Yeah, so that's what happens there. But Calexico is the one that is like super small versus Mexicali is the capital of Baja California. So it's an established city and it has everything there.
So you're into like circuit analysis. I know you're an electrical engineering major, also double majoring in also computer science. So very genius here when it comes to systems, right? So what's that experience been like for you? You know, where did that interest come from before you got here to Columbia?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what electrical engineering was before I came here, but I was into robots in high school because we had a robotics team. So we had that opportunity available for us, and I joined the team in 9th grade, which is like the first freshman year, basically.
Right.
And just from there, I liked working on robots, and my professor was a mechanical engineer, and then everyone was basically going to university for mechanical engineering.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'll do that. I'll do that too.
Yeah.
So I applied to Columbia and like all the other schools for mechanical engineering, and that's what I got in as. But since Columbia doesn't enforce like your choice, I was able to explore like different majors and the curriculums. And I really, really liked electrical engineering because of the hands-on labs. I thought it was more fun, even though like you're there for 3 hours in the labs, you know how labs are, and I still really enjoyed it. And having like good partners was also really good because I was able to enjoy working on these labs and finishing the lab reports and everything.
I mean, so like one thing I noticed also is the ability to kind of that exploration period that you have here at Columbia when you first get here. I mean, for the viewers that don't know, I kind of met Alan a lot more when we took Gen Chem 1 together our freshman year, simply because that's like part of their curriculum, like part of the city's curriculum. So all the engineers, your engineering students, they have to take that class. And so since me being pre-med, I had to obviously take it. It was pretty cool to definitely see that you have half the classes going into the medical field, the other half the classes like going to be engineers.
Yeah.
So what has that experience been like, as you're kind of going through like these other classes that aren't necessarily like whether they're related to electrical engineering, computer science? What's that been like for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it has been really interesting because I have other interests that are not like just engineering, or like I'm not one of those that just likes engineering classes.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy having the freedom and the opportunity to take like basically the core classes here at Columbia, and also just history or like psychology classes that are available. They're really useful, even though like we can basically take only the intro ones. They're really interesting and give you a good introduction into writing, research. Also like I think it's like how to do surveys, because we did that for psychology. So I think it's really interesting to learn the different aspects of different careers, and learn how to better communicate different topics that are not just science and engineering.
All right. I mean, I think overall, the like vastness of Columbia in general allows us to kind of explore that. Would you ever say you had any moments where you kind of self-doubted yourself, where you were like, man, I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue going, like kind of like that imposter syndrome. Would you say?
Yeah. I definitely think that now it has gone away for the most part. Like I know how to prepare myself. I have the skills needed for my major, and then I'm also doing computer science. So for now, like I don't feel like I don't belong in any space. I think I can always learn the skill, and if I didn't know, it's probably because of a lack of experience, which I'm there to get essentially.
Yeah.
But it did happen in like the first year because of my background, coming from a public school that was underfunded and didn't have a big emphasis on technology or basically engineering in general. When I got here, I did feel like I was behind. I had to take Calculus 1, which for a lot of people was kind of really low because they start with Calculus 2 or Calculus 3 essentially. And
Calculus is not easy.
yeah. And I fell behind in terms of like the basic classes that we have to take, like physics, calculus, chemistry. I did feel like it was a big time to adapt for me, versus for other people it was more of like, oh, this is just review.
Right.
That's what I felt in those classes. And I did have a little bit of like imposter syndrome, and also like I was like a little bit scared of like, when am I going to catch up? Like, when is that moment going to get here? Because everyone tells you it will, but you go through the whole semester, and then second semester and it's the same thing. So you just wonder like, when am I really going to catch up to everyone else? And then when am I going to stop feeling like behind in these like courses and then in the major?
Right. No, I think, I mean, in college in general, like you always gonna have your like bumps and obstacles and stuff. I mean, me personally, when I was in college, my first 2 years were definitely very, very difficult, trying to figure out how I was gonna get through everything. But eventually, you find your footing as long as you stay the course and push on forward.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
You've definitely gone through a lot of challenges in your life, right? Again, just from where your upbringings, right? So to see you here is an accomplishment in itself, So and I mean, what else is there to say than just like just keep moving forward.
Right.
So.
I think also you could also attest to this. The amount of times where you're in the library and you're just studying, you start realizing, okay, I have all this work I have to do. my sleep schedule isn't right, my mental isn't right in the moment, and you're just like, you're stressed out, but you never lose track of that end goal. It's like, okay, the end goal is sure, in the short term is the diploma. I mean, you get the title that you graduate from Columbia, but in the long term is what, that nice paying job, that you take care of your family. If you go on to do grad school, you get go into a good grad school and you get that title. So you're like building levels to it little by little. And I think that's kind of what's enabled me to kind of get over that hump when I first got here. It's that transition period where it's like, you're just constantly being stressed out from the exterior around you, and you're not able to like really lock in and focus on yourself for a bit. I think that like around sophomore, junior year, that's when like everyone like starts to like wake up and realize, okay, this is how things kind of flow around. This is how I can kind of get over that hump. So, I mean, it's amazing to hear that you've been able to also realize that you came from a small public school that didn't have that much funding, but you were able to kind of realize your niche in robotics and turn that into electrical engineering later on. But shifting gears for a bit. So obviously you like soccer, right? And you like baseball. Can you kind of like tell us where both kind of intersect, if that comes from back home in Mexico?
Yeah. So they definitely come from my dad just being a big sports guy.
Yeah.
Okay. He always had basically the games on TV for the Dodgers, for baseball. He had he's a fan of Real Madrid. I'm now like a Barcelona fan, but he always watched soccer. And that's where I got it from. I think like I started baseball really early, like 3, 4, 5 years old, basically, when I was the smallest categories that you can join, basically, when you don't have an idea like where you're running. So I continued doing baseball. There was a moment where circumstances didn't align, and I was just like, you know what, like I don't want to do baseball anymore forever, when I was like 10 years old. And I did soccer for like 2 years, and then I realized I wanted to do baseball again. Came back, and I did baseball throughout high school. I was varsity captain for the Calexico baseball team, and I played center field, second base sometimes if needed, sometimes shortstop, but mostly center field. And like I did baseball throughout high school. I always wanted to do soccer as well, but it was the same season in California. Some other states have different seasons, I believe.
Yeah, usually here in New York, soccer tends to be more in the fall, and then baseball will be in the spring. That's usually more how it works in the
East Coast. For us, it was basically spring for both of them. So I had to choose like either baseball or soccer. So I did baseball, and I don't regret it at all. It was like a really fun experience and time, basically. But for now, I think it's in the past. Like I haven't really done baseball anymore here at Columbia, of course, because it's Division I and everything.
Yeah, it's much tougher, yes.
So it's like more competitive, and my goal was to do like get an engineering degree, not to go play baseball for university.
So you use it more as, like at the time it was more of your, I guess you could say your hobby, right? But you never saw it as a particular like your career path necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. I realized like sophomore year, I was like, okay, I'm not getting the interest. This probably means that like it's gonna be really tough if I want to play baseball like longer term. So I chose kind of like the safer-ish path, because you could go and try to get your name out there and do like different leagues, recruiting. Travel. You could go to lower division schools, and that was an option. But I think I decided to do university because I also was able to get good scholarship for Columbia. So it was a good decision in the end. I don't regret it.
I think that's good, and I think you don't always have to, like, just because you play a sport doesn't mean that you have to go to the major. Necessarily, like, you can play sports and just have fun and just enjoy being active. Because, like, I mean, there's so many benefits in general just being an active person.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but that's really cool.
Honestly, I think back to my days. Like, I remember I was always a two-sport athlete growing up. It was always basketball and baseball for me in the household. Dad would put on the Knicks games. He'd put on the Mets games. So it's always like Knicks and Mets in the house. And I just remember there were times where I'd go, maybe 3-4 summers in a row. It's just baseball. And then I'd say, I want to go back to basketball. And then I'd go back to baseball.
Yeah, that definitely happens.
That constant switch back and forth. I remember in high school I played right field. I played a little bit of center at one point. And I think that it was like kind of like the same thing where it was just more like a hobby. Realized
Yeah,
early on
definitely.
that my interest and my passion was to pursue medicine. And I mean, I applied as a bio major here at Columbia, and sure enough, here I am about to
On
hopefully
your way.
graduate.
Yeah.
Almost there, guys.
Knock on wood.
You guys are almost there.
Exactly.
Yes.
As of this recording, I think maybe a month and a half or so from
Yeah.
graduation. So towards the end. But what has that been like for you to kind of, I guess, reflect on that whole journey to get here, and then hopefully what's to come after Columbia?
Yeah, I think in the last few months, like I've been thinking about how so many people tell you like enjoy the time because it flies, like it goes by so fast.
So true.
And when you're a freshman, you're like, oh, it's just so tough. Like it's not going fast enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I want to be a sophomore. I want to be a junior.
Yeah.
But now, basically being a month and a half away from our graduation, you can definitely feel that it went by really fast.
Yes.
And it's not like that I wish it was longer or anything, but it's like you just start to enjoy every moment a little more,
Yeah.
knowing the time is kind of limited and you're never going to be back in the same environment with with so many people of your age sharing like a common goal,
On a regular basis.
Yeah,
having
exactly.
experiences together. So definitely just that, like enjoying everything a little more, being mindful of my time and everything, because it's very close, and then it's a totally new chapter after I graduate.
I mean, I always think back to the phrase, like, there's a difference between enjoying yourself and then there's a difference between ruining your future, where it's like you can obviously make time for the events, make time to hang out with your friends and enjoy university life, right? Because as we all know, there is plenty to enjoy throughout college, and there's also, it also has its down moments, right? We feel stressed out, midterms go on, finals week, and everyone's studying, and then by the time you celebrating finals is over, everyone's home for the summer or they're at
that's
their
true.
internships. So it goes by quick, and if you don't like look back or like take a moment to kind of really appreciate everything going
Really
around
reflect on it.
and reflect,
Yeah,
then
definitely.
once by the time you graduate, you're like, wow, I wish I did more.
Yeah.
So I think it's finding that balance early on, and then especially now we have all of these events as seniors. You got the cruise, the gala, you can name it, right? There's a lot that's being planned for us, and I think it's more so kind of enjoying these last moments we have today.
Yeah.
Because when's the next time you're gonna be able to be like, I got class, go to the dining hall and go to the gym, and I don't gotta worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Gone is gone, guys.
Exactly.
You're
You
like
could attest
from
to that, yeah.
experience.
Yeah, no, it's a fact. I mean, I'm almost 3 years out from graduating, from getting my bachelor's, and I'll never forget the first day that I no longer had classes. So the very next day, how my schedule was set up for that semester, I would have class at like sometime in the afternoon. And again, I no longer had any classes. So I remember legitimately just sitting on my couch and like legitimately like bored, like what am I supposed to do? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I had to think back, I'm like, bro, what am I supposed to be doing? Like I should be in class right now. I don't have it.
Yeah.
And you quickly realize like you have so much extra time on your hands that it kind of comes at you like all at once if you're not ready for it, and you start to be like, yo, like all those hours that you spend, studying or taking courses or whatever, and when you no longer have it, you really think about like, damn, how am I gonna fill up my time now?
Like the lack of structure is
Yeah.
it's an opportunity, but also can be a challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really like that. It's really like that. We take it for granted how organized our life is up until this point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's just school, basically.
Yeah.
The only school, yeah.
Exactly.
Since
All
we were
we
little.
know is just school from 8 o'clock to whatever time we finish, right? And then again, once you finish college, unless you get your master's or other things like that,
Yeah.
right? But you quickly realize that you find, again, it's a blessing and a curse, but you find ways to take up that time and do things that you've been wanting to, do for the longest. So yeah, so hey, maybe you do more baseball again. Or
Yeah.
soccer.
Honestly, I do need to find like some recreational leagues. I know
Yeah.
there's a lot here in the U.S.
yeah,
like
absolutely.
recreational leagues on a Sunday and things like that. But I'm definitely gonna do that because otherwise, like, I'm gonna be bored just going to work and not doing anything else. So
But
that's the plan for sure.
But speaking of, so you mentioned before to us that you have experience in the corporate world.
Yes.
So well, that's been with the IRS, if I'm correct, or if
Yeah, that was freshman year.
right?
With the IRS.
So that's
Yeah.
more that's less corporate. That's more civil.
Civil, right?
Civil
right.
service. So I did that, and then I had experience with Capital One in the corporate
right.
world, and I do also have experience in the like startup world with one in software and one in hardware. So I do have experience everywhere because I really wanted to kind of test the waters and see what I like to do, knowing that I'm going to be doing it for decades essentially.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, I wanted to find like what I liked, what I didn't like, and see where I want to grow in my career. So yes, right now I am committed to a company to start basically in August. And that would be my start for my career essentially, and just start working 9 to 5 and see where I go from there. But I do have basically a goal of starting my own company one day and having my own team that I can manage for either hardware or software.
Okay. And through those different civil and corporate jobs that you did, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what were the things that you like learned, what you liked, what you didn't like, in particular with IRS, Capital One?
Yeah.
Like, go in more detail.
Yeah, so I had both, like IRS was like combination of software and data science. So I explored the data world there, like huge databases, pulling data from there, analyzing different trends, which was kind of what we had to do, analyze different trends, documents, and then also come up with a report essentially at the end as a conclusion. And I just learned how to analyze different patterns in data, especially when they're so big and you can get overwhelmed easily.
How big are we talking?
Like almost like thousands of columns and thousands of lines.
That's a lot.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it was like huge databases that you would have to always like add like 10 filters if you wanted if you wanted a normal size like chunk, you had to do at least like 10-15 filters.
Wow.
Because you needed to get whatever you wanted specifically. And for software, I did with Capital One, and I had 2 different roles. So one of them was like traffic routing, more like networking side. So figuring out what was the delay for the responses, and then how do we respond to an event where basically an availability zone is down and we have to switch to the other one for reliability. How do we do that? And what is the best way? And how do we test that? So I had that experience last summer. And then the first summer was just it was a smaller project because I was also a sophomore. So it was more of like kind of just getting tasks and making changes to a ongoing like change that they had to do for a process of basically a process that clean data and also introduce some formulas to that data.
Right.
And yeah, just getting small tasks in that process pipeline.
Interesting. And then from there, you went from the IRS to then go into Capital One.
Capital One, correct.
And then what was that like transitioning from that, and then what you were able to learn from that experience?
I think for sure they're different, like corporate and civil is different, and also like the personalities of people. You do have like younger people, especially because we were in the internship, so you share a lot of time with other interns and recent grads versus like civil service. They have more experience. They have 20 years, 10 years in the same like teams and stuff like that. So they have a lot of expertise that they can basically talk to you about.
Okay.
So that's one opportunity that is available, and I really like that. They are open to talk to you for 30 minutes all the time and like tell you what they do in the role and how they move to their current position. And because they have so much experience, you can learn a lot from their career.
So it was very helpful for you to like, like get into, to take that next level and then use that to your future.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think I've always been really open to just talking to people and figuring out what they do, what was their trajectory, because you can always learn, like even if it's small, like you can learn something that can help you in your career if you make that change. So I've always been open to like networking a little bit in my internships, because usually you can always use that card of like, I'm an intern, like,
Yeah, exactly.
hey, I'm new and I'm only temporarily here, like I want to talk to you guys.
That helps out a lot. I always think back to, similar to myself, I worked in the corporate world last summer when I was at BNY, and being in the corporate world, you see a lot of different niches, you see a lot of different departments that you may be like, well, I don't see myself here, I don't see myself in this department. But there's always ways you can learn from them. And I feel like at the same time, not just learn from them, but you could apply those skills that they have, and you could apply it into what you do. Even if it's something general, something as organization, time management.
Yeah, definitely.
Those are small skills that you could transfer to almost any line of work. And I think back to, sometimes people will say, oh, medicine and business, what are the relations between them? Or like, and banking, what's the relation? And there are always going to be skills that you can overlap within any industry. And I think that kind of, you could attest to that with your experiences across the board. But you also, I think you mentioned before that you also had a kind of like an experience, even before you got these internships when you were going to school here, that you were learning English again. So what was that kind of experience like for you to kind of get over that language barrier for you?
And just to clarify, like your first language was Spanish.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because I went to school in Mexico, like all those years, I never really needed English.
Right.
Until I basically, it wasn't like, you learn little by little. It was like nothing to basically do homework in English.
Like,
and like
everything's
do
in English,
all
right?
the schoolwork in English.
Yeah.
So it was like from 0 to 100 to like, basically. And at the beginning, I always was able to read in English. I got better at reading, obviously, like reading comprehension.
Right.
Like I was able to read like the whole book, but then did I really keep everything?
Right.
But yeah, little by little, my reading comprehension got better. I started to learn how to write like good paragraphs and then good essays, which is like something big in the US, which wasn't in Mexico. Like we never wrote what we call essays here. Okay. So it was like a different type of write. Like you just write more like reports or like different documents that were more like summaries and not like your opinion too much on the writings. Maybe because also I was like really young, so I'm not sure if like here they write essays at that age. But
from what I can remember now, essays in general,
right. It's like high school thing.
No. Even when I was younger.
Oh, always. Okay.
Even from like
elementary. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We definitely didn't do that. So so it was something new as well. When they were like, oh, you need to write a two-page essay. I was like, oh, damn, that's a lot of writing. And then in English too.
Something you definitely don't miss being in C's.
Yeah. I do have Japanese Civ this semester, which I'm writing some essays for.
Japanese,
but it's not in Japanese.
It's
just
Japanese
like
civilization.
Civilization, yeah. So
Like,
it's just
like
learning
the history,
about the history, yeah.
Global core, right?
But yeah, so going back to high school, I didn't really practice talking in English too much.
Okay.
Because it's a bad thing because everyone talks in Spanish because it's not needed.
Yeah.
Like all your friends speak Spanish, professors speak Spanish outside of class. Like it's okay. Like, yeah, it's good because we all like connect through like the Spanish language, but it's bad because we don't learn and practice the English language.
Exactly.
For if you want to leave, like to a different city or to university.
Yes.
And especially if you didn't grow up there. So for me, like the first time I had to really have conversations in English was the first time almost like for the interviews that I had for university. You know how like they have some interviews? That was one of the first few times that I had to talk for more than like 15 minutes in English with someone in a conversation.
Okay.
So they were tough a little bit, like the interviews. They didn't go amazing because my English was a little broken. I didn't have the best words to describe what I wanted to describe to them. Right. But I still had an interview for Columbia, and I guess it went well. If I'm here about to graduate.
Exactly. You did something right.
I did something right. So when I arrived here, that's the first time that I had to talk in English.
Oh, wow.
And I forced myself to be like, okay, I'm going to try to not use the Spanish as much and try to speak English with even like Latinos, especially because not a lot of people speak good Spanish here.
Yeah, that's true. It's all
So-
very colloquial, very like informal.
Yes, so that forced me to use my English and then just learn from there. Basically, like enough practice I got in freshman year that basically made me better for the following years. And now I feel more comfortable. I think I still have to expand my language a little bit in some areas, but reading is going to help with that. And then I can just expand a little bit on the different phrases and
Yeah.
words that I use to fill up space.
But you feel that you're obviously now you're in a better position here than before when you
For
first got
sure,
here.
for
Yeah.
sure, like 100%.
I mean, you're great. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, exactly. I can yab in English now, which is good, which is good.
So you definitely made the leap forward. So
Yeah,
that's good,
yeah.
that's good.
There we go.
You definitely, I mean, again, you definitely have had to overcome a lot of trials and tribulations through your life and everything like that. I mean, just up from now until you can remember, what would you say was one of the most difficult things for you, just like in your life that you feel that you needed to get through and that you were able to?
Yeah, I think moving schools, besides the language barrier, there's a lot of things that I guess people don't really talk about or nobody really like puts an emphasis on, but they are important. Like I had to, besides learning the language and my language being really broken and not being able to talk English, I didn't really have friends.
Okay.
So I was coming into a new school. I was the only, basically, I was alone kind of, in a kind of sense, because I didn't know anyone else and everyone had their group of friends because they're like, oh, because since it was a small town, everyone went to the same schools throughout their life.
Right.
And I was coming in as someone from the outside. So I had to make friends that at the beginning spoke more Spanish than English because otherwise I wouldn't be able to really connect. But yeah, I think having to switch schools so late was a little bit difficult in that sense, and the social sense, where making friends was always difficult because they always had their groups, and it's different when you join a group that already has been formed. I feel like you're always going to be a little bit excluded in that sense, and then
especially when you're starting out.
and then I also was a lot of the times I had to be at home with my family, which was in Mexico for the weekends and stuff like that. So I never had the time also to be like, oh yeah, I'll go to your house and connect with them in a outside of school way. So
Travel.
yeah, so the travel, the line and whatever, I just wasn't really part of the social experience of high school. So I only had my baseball team, and that was kind of the people that I talked to, and then that was kind of it. Even today, I don't talk to that many people from my high school because I didn't really connect too much. I was more focused in school, sports, and my family essentially.
They were there for convenience and anything, and they were there out of convenience.
Yeah, I was there more of I mean, I had a mission kind of way. I'm going to school so that I can go to university, and I never really focused on the social experience, but it does impact a little bit your mental health during high school.
Most definitely.
But that was a little bit tough, adding onto it the language barrier, and then having to basically figure out everything on my own for university because I didn't have anyone to help me. The school also doesn't have the resources or the knowledge about the process for applying to schools outside of UCs. So the UC pipeline is very strong in California. You go to school, you do good, and then you go to a UC or a Cal State. But there's not a lot of information or resources if you want to apply to other schools or apply to scholarships because they've never done it and they don't have the experience to help you through the process. So I kind of had to do all of that alone. Language barrier, not a lot of friends. So it was little isolated experience in high school, which was a little bit difficult, but yeah.
And then now you made it here, and hopefully, I'm about to graduate, so
Yeah.
Clearly you did something right.
When did you realize that you felt that, like with all that you just said, when did you feel like you were like everything was trying to like kind of coming together for yourself? Like you felt like you were able to connect more, actually have some friends, and not feel actually alone.
I definitely felt that here at Columbia. I think I'm definitely made friends for life that I'm gonna continue having and talking to forever. I definitely feel like more part of the community, in the Latino community here at Columbia.
Absolutely.
I became president of one of the organizations that when I was in high school, I knew about, and I kind of like looked up to like the people that were in it. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like I really would love to do that because I want to give back to the community and like help in a way that like provide the help that I didn't have.
I see.
Yeah.
Like when I was a freshman here, because there wasn't too much opportunities for like exploring the professional world. I feel like when we were freshmen, the chip was really small, LPen was really small.
Right.
Alpha, I don't think it existed.
Also, I mean, because we were coming right out of COVID. So we were
So I think clubs struggled
Yes, that's true.
in general.
Funding was low.
Funding was low, clubs struggled. So I was like, okay, I can help with like in this area and form part of that. So yeah, that being part of CHIP helped me a lot because I did a lot of events. I was part of a lot of events with a lot of other clubs on campus.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I definitely feel part of the community. I feel like heard, that my opinions matter, and that I can actually make a change if I do the work. Like I know Jesse also knows this because he brings professors and doctors.
With the
like
panels,
and you do feel like you are making a good change and you're providing people those resources that you maybe didn't have.
Good. Yeah, no, that's amazing. It just it goes to show like no matter where you come from, if you work hard and you stay focused, you stay on track, you eventually get to where you want to be, and then and even more than what you could have ever imagined.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's cool.
At the end of the day, I think also there's so much that we encapsulate here at Columbia that it's about giving back, like you said. But would you say that in kind of what keeps you moving forward is not just the people that are going through similar experiences that you went through? Would you say that's like you also kind of take home, okay, I have my family back home, I want to do well for them. Like you're kind of combining all these motivations into one when you give back to students, whether you're in SHIP, in LPen, whatever other club at Columbia. Would you say that that's the case as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's something that motivates me every day. And besides like just my career, I think I've always had like the vision of helping. Like if I'm able to do it, like why not?
Right.
I do feel like we need that in this society, like just helping people. If you can provide the resources, if you have the expertise, like share that.
Just go for it.
Like share those resources, help other people, like bring them up. Yeah. Because if you bring them up, they'll bring others up.
Exactly.
And I think, I always wanted to do that, and I feel like here I learned how to, like what are good approaches to do that. Like how to actually contact people to help you figure out things as well.
Exactly.
I lost my fear for like rejection. Like I can talk to like any professional without feeling like, oh, like he's gonna reject me or I'm less.
They're not gonna ignore my message.
If I have a good idea, like you can tell them if they don't want it, if they don't want to hear it or like they don't agree with it, that's fine. Like you can find other people because there's so many people that are willing to help. Just as we do in the professional world and with more experience and more resources, that they would basically love to hear someone bring an idea and also like let them share the
wisdom and their
exactly.
Like that. No, 1,000%. And again, I like how you mentioned it because at the end of the day, there are so many. We are very similar to one another. Like it seems though as if like people are trying to gatekeep a lot of things, which to an extent that might be the case, but there's a lot of people out there that if you go out your way and try to find them, they will give you their hand and show you the way so that you can go up with them. As they say, like all tides rise the ship. Meaning, if you help to grow somebody, those people are gonna help other people grow as well, because they learned through experience and saw what you were able to do for them, and they more than likely they'll want to repeat it to others.
Yeah.
So that's just amazing.
Also, you look back at when you help someone out, you're not just helping one person out. Like you said, you're helping out an exponential amount.
Exactly.
So, only good could come from good, but nothing good could come from bad, basically, right? Like that's a good way to phrase it, because you don't lose anything by giving back to someone. If anything, you gain something out of it because you just made someone else's day, and you don't know how.
And it goes along.
Exactly, you don't know like what type of connection you just form, what type of bond you're forming. The simple hello for thank you for opening the door for someone, right? That makes them, all those small things, they add up to create someone's day. And like you said, there's only so much we can do to give back. Then it's about everyone else applying from that and then partaking in that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's amazing to hear that you kind of embodied that spirit of wanting to give back to others from when you came from where you came from back home, and now here at Columbia, and hopefully and beyond now.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's one thing that I want to continue doing. Like,
Absolutely.
community work is definitely on my mind after I graduate. I do have to learn like how to do that effectively, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be willing to help and have someone else help out with their vision and mission. So, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you one more thing. Again, Barcelona, right? So I gotta ask you. So as you know, Barcelona is currently in the Champions League, right? I forgot who they playing against again.
Dortmund.
Exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure you know the answer, who you want to win, but do you think they're gonna win the Champions League?
Well, I'm
They got
already.
Arsenal
I will say
coming up.
I am already planning on going to Munich for the final.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
So I trust the team is gonna be there, and if not, I'll have fun with other teams. But I really, really, really hope that this is the year. This is the year of the sixth one, and we can finally add another star.
6 times to try.
and who? Okay, all right. Obviously, you want Barcelona there. Who would you prefer them to go up against, Arsenal or Real Madrid? Would you want?
I think I would just
Clásico Champions League or Arsenal?
It would be a once in a lifetime experience to have Real Madrid. But if you lose that game,
That's gonna be tough.
it's just like
it stings.
you have trauma for life from
Yeah.
from going and seeing that live.
But it'd be so much fun.
But it'll be so much fun. Like
To be
you're
there.
never gonna have that. Well, you can, but like it's never
In
happened.
Champions League, no.
It's never happened. So it's not something that happens often at all. And I think that would be an amazing final
Okay.
to
So you
watch
would prefer
live.
Real Madrid over Arsenal.
Yeah, I think we've also beat them twice. So I am
Yes, that's
I am
another
not
too.
scared of them.
Exactly. I feel like part of me feels like we have a better chance of going to Real Madrid.
Because it's not a new team, but yes.
But okay.
But no, Alan, I think it's been a pleasure, for you to come here, share your story. I think obviously you have a lot to give back, and you have a lot of stories to tell. And overall, it's just been a pleasure to have you here today.
Yeah, man. It's been great.
So
Thank you guys for having me.
yeah, thank you, Alan.
It's a pleasure.
If you have any socials where people want to contact you, we can link them down in the description if you want to shout anything out.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys ever need help with anything in the professional world, guidance and engineering, hit me up on LinkedIn. It's my name, Allen Areola. Should be one of the first ones that pop up. There's not a lot of people with my same name. I'll be happy to help and provide those resources.
Well, Alan, it's been a pleasure to have you on. And guys, for those of you watching, stay tuned for more episodes like this, where we have not just people here at Columbia, but people outside of Columbia who can share these kind of stories, and hopefully you can learn something that you could apply to your daily life. And so thank you guys for watching, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. So as for your host, Jesse, it's Jesse signing off.
Bueno, Rafa, as always. And again,
And
Arreola.
Alan, thank you guys.
We'll see you guys soon.
deuces.